For those who are new to this term, chaebols are massive, mostly family-run business conglomerates that dominate South Korea's economy. They have played a central role in transforming South Korea from a humble agrarian market into one of the world's largest economies. Now, you might be wondering, what makes these chaebols so influential? Well, it's their sheer size and diversity. Chaebols operate across a range of industries, including electronics, automotive, retail, and construction. The top 5 chaebols alone represent approximately half of the South Korean stock market's value. They drive the majority of South Korea's investment in research and development. For instance, Samsung Electronics, the largest Samsung affiliate, employs more than 300,000 people globally. That's more than Apple's and Google's workforce combined. But it's not just about the numbers. It's about the impact these chaebols have on everyday life. Whether it's the smartphone in your hand, the car you drive, or the elevator you take, there's a good chance it's made by a chaebol. So, next time you use a Samsung phone or drive a Hyundai car, remember, you're experiencing a small part of the vast chaebol empire. The top 5 chaebols, which include household names like Samsung, SK, Hyundai Motor Company, LG, and POSCO, represent approximately half of the South Korean stock market's value. This dominance is not just limited to the stock market. These conglomerates also drive the majority of South Korea's investment in research and development. This dominance extends to their contribution to South Korea's GDP. In 2021, the top 10 chaebols collectively contributed to 60% of the country's GDP. But what does this mean for the average person? Imagine a single entity having a significant influence over your country's economy, from the smartphone in your hand to the car you drive. That's the reality in South Korea, where chaebols have a substantial impact on everyday life. In this video, we'll explore how this economic dominance contributes to wealth concentration and economic inequality. In 2022, the top 10% of households in South Korea owned about 43% of total household net worth. This stark disparity in wealth distribution is a clear indicator of the economic inequality in the country. This level of wealth concentration can lead to a host of societal issues, including reduced economic mobility and increased social tension. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions, but understanding the problem is the first step towards addressing it. In South Korea, the productivity gap between large corporations and their smaller counterparts is a significant issue. This gap is not just about size, it's about the ability to innovate and compete in the market. The dominant market share of chaebols often prevents more entrepreneurial startups from competing. For instance, during the early stages of South Korea's economic development, policymakers felt that scarce resources had to be concentrated in the hands of a few market actors to make possible capital-intensive investments in productive industries. However, as the economy matured, these state-sanctioned behemoths prevented more entrepreneurial startups from competing in the market. Interestingly, a recent paper in economic policy asserted that the collapse of several debt-laden Goliaths during the 1997 Asian financial crisis had an unexpectedly positive impact on firm-level performance. The research found that, since the crisis, non-conglomerate companies in sectors that had been previously dominated by conglomerates have enjoyed both increased patenting activity and labor productivity. Despite these challenges, the South Korean government is making efforts to support small businesses and startups. For example, the Ministry of SMEs and Startups has unveiled plans for the Super Gap Startup Promotion Project, a pivotal initiative falling under the comprehensive Super Gap Startup 1000 Plus project. This project aims to identify over 1,000 deep tech startups within a 5-year span and provide them with substantial financial backing. The chaebols and the South Korean government have long had a symbiotic relationship. Many leaders in Seoul have equated the success of the chaebols with South Korea's post-war prosperity. For decades, chaebols have been granted subsidies, loans, and tax incentives by the South Korean government. These corporations prospered during the dictatorial rule of Park Chung-hee, who came to power by military coup in 1961. However, this close relationship between the state and business has also led to a series of high-profile corruption scandals. These scandals have fueled anti-Chaebol sentiment and calls for change and innovation. For instance, one scandal prompted mass protests and the ousting of Park Geun-hye. Despite these challenges, the chaebols remain a powerful force in South Korean politics. Their extraordinary influence could put the health of the Korean economy at risk. A poll indicated that 2/3 of Koreans and 75% of those in their 20s and 30s hold an unfavorable view of chaebols, citing their negative impact on the economy and role in rising inequality and corruption. South Korea is the second highest R&D spender among OECD economies, excelling in key technologies including semiconductors, 6G, and ICT infrastructure. However, despite this remarkable progress, disparities remain between SMEs and chaebols, manufacturing and services, ICT and non-ICT industries, and urban and rural areas. The dominance of chaebols in South Korea's economy has led to a lack of diversity, a known impetus in driving creativity and resilience. This lack of diversity can stifle innovation, as it reduces the number of different ideas and perspectives that can lead to breakthroughs. Moreover, the chaebol structure can create a barrier to entry for startups and small businesses. The vast resources and influence of chaebols can make it difficult for these smaller entities to compete, leading to a less dynamic and innovative economy. However, the scene is starting to change. Startups are increasing in number and furthering their influence and impact on the market. This shift could potentially lead to a more diverse and innovative economy in the future. As of right now, South Korea's job market is undergoing significant changes. The number of employed people in South Korea was forecast to continually increase between 2023 and 2024 by a total of 0.3 million people, plus 1.05%. After the fourth consecutive increasing year, the number is estimated to reach 28.81 million people and therefore a new peak in 2024. However, there's still a growing disparity between large corporations and small to mid-sized enterprises. This disparity poses risks to employees and employers as they navigate shifting employment practices, legal compliance, and social perception. Wrongful terminations accounted for 26% of labor disputes during the first 8 months of 2023, a significant increase from 15% in 2022. Experts attribute this spike to changing job market dynamics and a growing awareness of workers' rights, particularly among younger generations. Moreover, South Korea's manufacturing sector saw a renewed improvement in operating conditions at the start of 2024. Output, new orders, and exports all returned to expansion territory in January, alongside sustained rises in employment and purchasing activity. South Korea has been grappling with the issue of chaebol reform for many years. The government has initiated various measures to mitigate the impact of chaebols on the economy and society. For instance, in 2024, South Korea enacted a tax reform bill that includes a 12-month delay on undertaxed profits rule. This reform is expected to have significant implications for chaebols, as it aims to ensure that they pay their fair share of taxes. However, these reform efforts have often faced resistance. The chaebols, due to their significant economic and political influence, have been able to resist many of these reforms. This resistance has often resulted in a stalemate, with the government unable to implement meaningful reforms.